Welcome to Movies Train. Today I have brought for you a 2016 comedy fantasy movie named Super Family. Spoiler ahead, don't delay too much, let's move on to the explanation of movie. At the beginning of the movie, we are shown that night a man named Oleg was helping a group of smugglers steal a ton of caviar on a small boat. The sailor hired opposes the idea, reminding him that his boat can only lift 600 kilograms, and Oleg doesn't change his mind even if he gives her more money. Although this is not enough for Oleg to give up, he pretends to call his wife but talks to the smuggler and tells him that the cargo is 600 kilograms so the sailor will take. The trick works and Oleg loads his tons of caviar onto the boat, but they aren't able to get very far. The boat and the cargo slowly sink, and when the sailor demands to pay for the damage done to his boat after the boat sinks, they both swim ashore. Oleg gives him his new and modern car, so he has an old worn-out vehicle of the sailors and a debt of 1 million with the smugglers. The next day, Oleg goes to visit his girlfriend Sveta at the bank, where she used to work as an accountant. After going there, he asks her for a loan, but she cannot give him a loan because she has already taken the amount. Payment has not been completed. Sveta wanted to help him, so she tells him a solution. They could have asked his family for help as they only had one house, but Oleg is not a fan of the idea, as he cannot stand his family and does not want to see them again. But he had no choice. They go to his house where the whole family lives together, where he meets her father Boris, who loves to sing strange songs and hasn't left the house in 5 years because he is a wanted man. His maternal grandfather Pavel, who wants him to die earlier. Her sister Rita, who works as an accountant in the theater but wants to become an artist. Her brother Tolik, who wants to join the army but cannot join the army due to his asthma and prefers to train dogs. And her sister Sasha, a young girl who dreams about becoming a grown woman and has a crush on him. After which they all eat together. Oleg tried to talk to Boris about his money problem, for which he had to wait until he was finished singing. When Boris finally hears that he needs the money and that's why he wants to sell the house, he goes crazy thinking that selling a house is like selling his family into slavery. Oleg tries to convince them that nobody will lose anything. He just needs a letter of guarantee, but it is in vain. Boris still has no answer. Suddenly, their argument is interrupted when a meteorite comes through the roof and lands in the middle of the house, and hits Pavel. At first, everyone runs out thinking they might be attacked. But as soon as they see a meteor shower in the sky, they understand that a meteorite is falling from the sky, after which they return to see their grandfather. Go inside. After taking him to bed, Oleg and the siblings begin digging to find the meteorite to sell. But one by one the brothers and sisters fall asleep and stop digging. After digging all night, Oleg finds that meteorite and he brings it up. And when he comes out of the hole, he finds that Pavel is calling him from the bed and saying that he is going to die. Oleg wants to call an ambulance. But Pablo refused. He is alive for a long time and wants to leave this world in peace. Before passing away, he does one last foot massage to give to his family. They can all go to hell. After checking the Pavel pulse, make sure it is real. After which Oleg quickly goes to Sveta and tells her that Pavel is dead, but she was in a deep sleep, so she did not pay attention to Oleg's words. After that, Oleg falls asleep there. After some time, Tolik came and woke him up and they both went to the basement. Oleg and Tolik completely follow the living room and they discover that the meteorite has turned into a strange liquid. Sasha has gained super strength and Rita can fly. Sveta appears a moment later, half of his body appears invisible, and Pavel suddenly joins them alive and well. But when Rita can't control her newfound ability and flies through a hole in the roof, she quickly falls to the ground and Pavel dies again when Sveta is fully visible. To keep people awake when they help Rita back inside and tie it up so it can't fly again. They conclude that the meteorite has given them special powers. Oleg thinks he should call the authorities, and as soon as she leaves the room, Pavel dies again and Rita stops flying. It seems that these special abilities only work when they are all together. They go to the doctor and ask him about it. But the doctors say that they are healthy and there is no defect in their body. This blocking effect they get when they separate must be just part of how their powers are working. Later during dinner, they discuss what they should do with these powers Rita wants to perform, but Boris thinks people will experiment on her if they know. On the other hand, Tolik is relieved to feed his dogs only when he realizes that he can understand them. Now, Oleg told Boris that the family should come to TV and that they would get money for it. But Boris refused to use his family in this way. When they go to bed, Oleg asks Feda about the money in the bank, while she wonders if she will have unseen children. The next morning, Pavel tries to hang himself, but it is in vain. As long as he is around his family, he will alive. Boris realizes that his power is teleportation when he goes to the bathroom and tries too hard to relieve himself and decides the family needs a little break to deal with it. The group goes to a lake to fish and Boris learns to control his power. He tells everyone about the plan he has come up with. They must work together to rob the bank. Speaking of being invisible, he just needs to walk and then walk out with a bag of money while everyone else sits in a nearby car so that he doesn't lose his ability. Rita, Tolik and Sasha are in, but Boris rejects the idea, saying that he doesn't care that a leg is lost and that he can no longer use his powers. An enraged Oleg gets in the car after telling his family to keep Pavel's body in the basement until they are back on the road, only to try to convince Feda that his plan is a good idea. But they are suddenly pulled over by another car. Because smugglers also want their money. Oleg asks them to give him a month so that he can give them all the money, but the smugglers give him a week. If he does not pay the money in a week, then they will sell his organs in Chinese black market and recover their money. After the smugglers left, Feda finally understands that old-fashioned debt isn't just about the money. It also puts her life in danger, so she accepts to help him. The next day, the couple takes her to see a wonderful new home that they can buy if they follow the plan for us. Happens and tells him that the family is sick of the old dilapidated house and they are still refusing to move and have a working toilet anywhere. But when Feda starts crying and tells that she is asking for his help for the first time in her life, still he won't listen to his daughter or finally accepts her for robbing the bank. After discussing the details of how they will pull it off, the family celebrates their new life and Sasha continues to interrupt Oleg and Feda as they try to spend some private time together. The next morning, she also applied some makeup on Impressive. Oleg is surprised when all of a sudden the family members start putting terms down if he wants them to cooperate. Boris wants to cremate Pavel, but Boris scolds her and says that if he wants to be a part of the family, he will help them in return or the deal will end. So Oleg has no choice but to fulfill everyone's wishes. After visiting the theater as Rita works to schedule her show, Oleg discovers what his power is while in bed with Feda. He can pour water with his finger, which is used to water the plants. Useful for. Next morning, Sasha meets the couple as they check the bank who will be their victim. It's not what she works on, so they can escape suspicion. While they discuss the details, Sasha asks what would happen if Feda was caught and sent to prison, wondering who would look after his leg. When they return home, they learn that Tolik has shaved his head because he has been accepted into the army, meaning he will not be available to rob the bank. Boris is sad that he will lose his son, but Oleg cannot stop thinking about the plan. So he pulls some strings between his contacts and tells Sasha to talk to Tolik and tells him that it was all a mistake. Tolik is furious and upset about this turn of events, but Boris does not hide how pleased he is that the army, according to him, saw light ol' comfort. Tolik tells him that after robbing the bank, he will talk, can do some people he knows, and when he hugs him, he is convinced. Next, they go to a funeral home to make arrangements for the making of the puzzle. The employee gives them a piece of paper that the publicist sticks to his chest, so when the police find him dead, they'll know to take him there. Later, Oleg takes Sasha out to lunch at a restaurant, while everyone watches them from afar, with Feda invisible next to her to keep an eye on her sister. Sasha wants to take him with her after the robbery as she can no longer stand her family. But before Oleg could turn her down, they are seen by smugglers who were eating food there. They come to him to interrogate him. When the Sasha comes to know that they are bad people, then she starts beating them by using her power. The whole family comes to run away from there, after which all the power of the Sasha goes away, after which she also runs away from there. Later, the family spends the night listening to Tolek Dog sing the national anthem. The next day, it's time to execute the plan. Oleg parks the car across the street under the sun. Because there is no parking sign in Broken Alley Bore points. Because Feda used to be invisible but her clothes were visible, she takes off all her clothes and goes naked inside the bank with Oleg. She follows the staff to learn all the passwords and secure codes, while Oleg takes a picture of the floor map in case they need to escape. Meanwhile, Boris is tired of the sun and decides to take the car to a small alley to get some fresh air. It becomes a problem that the area is there to park only for the armored trunk of the banks, and when one of them arrives, he asked the family to go away to refuse him, as this would lead to the Feda becoming visible. In such a situation, they have no other option. The guards use their truck to push the car away. Then Feda appears in front of an employee and a customer while he can't believe they are seeing Feda for family reasons. Feda runs outside and helps drag the people's bodies to the front of the bag so they can all be reunited, be close to setting. She immediately regains her powers and disappears. So the two men who saw him thought they were hallucinating. On the other hand, he agrees to leave but is stopped by the police as they had to investigate. To us, however, thinks he is a wanted man and teleports without getting inside a police truck and gets arrested for it. Hours later he is paid only after losing another car. And when they reach home, he tells the family that Boris ultimately didn't want to, and it was in his imagination. Enraged, he yells at everyone for misbehaving and promises them that there will be no more arguments or abuse of his powers. The next day, however, they still have to take Rita to the theater as it was part of the deal. When it is his turn to perform, Rita sees that the theater is very crowded, and in the crowd, Rita no longer wants to perform and walks out of the theater. And when Oleg goes after him, he is found by smugglers who take him off the stage and throw him around as they make him the new show of the day. When they are finally done and let him go, the whole lake is so angry and hurt that he insults the whole family for the failures. They keep on calling them lazy, selfish idiots who can use the best technology in the world to scratch their backs. Oleg tries to leave them and doesn't want to do anything else with them, but Boris comes up with an idea and decides to kidnap her. When night falls, the family goes back to the bank to commit a robbery. While Pavel distracts some drunk man, they are hanging out nearby, drinking fuel and setting his breath on fire. The rest of the family members cover their faces and get ready to strike. Sasha pushes a truck across the street to hide what they are doing. Then she pulls out a chain that Rita has placed on the window, opening a hole in the wall. Boris teleports inside and Sasha throws Feda into the hole before Rita picks him up and takes him there with the others. Feda then uses the code she learned to disable the alarm, and Sasha simply picks up the safe and throws it on the street. As soon as those people start throwing all the money in the car, that's when the police come, after which Tolek distracts the attention of the police with all those dogs. When those people pick up all the money and keep it in the car, after that they pick up Pavel and start running. When those people dodge the police and run away from the bank, and after that they celebrate. Then Pavel tells them to make a final deal in which they have to leave Pavel behind so that he can die. After which the whole family bids them goodbye and leaves from there, but when they see Pavel dead, then they go back to Pavel and start crying. Pavel does not accept this and yells at them, reminding them that this is what he wants. Boris cuts off, saying that they should live together as a happy family. But Oleg reminds them that they can't stay because what they had planned was not as smooth as the original, and then the police will find them sooner or later. Moreover, he has already planned to go to Thailand instead. Tolek will leave for Moscow and Sasha and Rita want to go to Brazil. The girls want Boris to go with them, but he doesn't have time to answer as Pavel tells them he has called the police so they can find the body soon, so the family leaves for good this time. Watching his grandfather die upsets Fedor, who refuses to grab the money when the Oleg starts splitting it, hours later, saying he should give it back. Oleg refuses, so Gopher kicks her out of the car and says she doesn't want to be with him anymore. Seeing the family has not changed, like a leaf, and manages its business, he pays the smugglers what he owes and hides the rest of the money under his clothes by taping it on his body. When he goes to the airport ready to leave the country, he watches on the news that the family has been arrested for trying to recover Pavel's body from the funeral home, and at first, he tries his best to ignore it. But once he gets on the plane, he can no longer deal with the guilt and returns to the city to help them. His first stop is the funeral home, where he tries to bribe the employee to give the body back. Seeing that there are so many people desperate to get Pavel, the man asks for 1 million and takes no other than the lesser amount, with whom he tries to negotiate, as he has no other choice. Oleg pays all the money left with him and takes Pavel with him to the court where the family is being tried. As soon as they step inside, everyone regains their powers in the chaos. Boris teleports out of the cage, and when he and Pablo start beating people up, Sasha breaks the cage to get his siblings out. Together, they chase away the various officers while the rest run away. And now they are all reunited. Boris admits that it kind of crazy plan officially makes all a part of the family waiting outside for them. There's a group of armed cops who read it distracts by flying above them pretending to be a religious apparition. This gives them enough time to steal a car and drive away, but the police soon snap out of it and start chasing them through the city. Boris teleports inside of one of the police cars to make them drive away. Sasha pushes others with their super strength, and when they accidentally drive through a vegetable stand and the mirror gets dirty, like cleans it with water he pours from his finger, Sasha uses her strength again to help the car make a sudden turn, causing all the police vehicles to crash against each other except for one. They manage to finally lose it. When Rita stands up and pushes the car up, it flies off and the car takes off with her. After some time they meet those smugglers in the port so that they can help them to escape. After which Oleg gives them some money, after which the task sends them to Thailand by sitting in a container. After that, it is shown. Now they have 20 days ahead where their only company will be each other. And the movie ends here. Subscribe the channel and like the video. Thanks for watching.